Watch, alertong pangkalusugan. Sa ilalim ng Republic Act 10152 o Mandatory Infants and Children Health Immunization Act of 2011, ang lahat ng bata mula 10 hanggang 5 taong gulang ay kinakailangan magpabakuna laban sa tuberculosis, diphtheria, tetanus, pertussis, polio, tigdas, beke, tigdas hangin, hepatitis B at influenza. Wala pong dahilan para mag-alala dahil libre, ligtas at mabisa ang lahat ng bakuna. Maglapit na health center o pampublikong ospital. Huwag nang isugal ang kalusugan ng mga bata. Ipabakuna na sila ngayon na. Isang napapanahong paalala mula sa inyong PTV para sa bayan. Sa muli nating pagpasok sa ating mga opisina, narito ang ilang mga gabay pangkaligtasan upang masugpo ang paglaganap ng COVID-19. Bigyan ng sapat na gamit ang mga empleyado upang maprotektahan ang kanilang kalusugan. Kung may clinic staff, bigyan sila ng tamang PPE o Personal Protective Equipment. Gumawa ng daily health questionnaire para sa mga manggagawa at i-temperature scan ang bawat isa bago pumasok. Maglaan ng isang isolation area para sa mga empleyadong kakikitaan ng lagnat at iba pang sintomas. Maaari ring magsagawa ng COVID-19 testing para sa mga empleyado na naaayon sa panuntunan ng DOH. Basta't sama-sama at laging handa, kaya natin to! Philippines' newest morning news show is Rising with Dayan Querer, Gabayan, and Aljo Bendijo. Rise and shine, Pilipinas!
Susunod na programa ay rated PG. Ito ay nangangailangan ng patnubay at gabay ng magulang para sa mga batang manonood.
An artist whom I respect very much.
Bata pa ako, Diyosa na siya.
One of the most passionate lady I have ever met.
She does not want to disappoint and she encourages us to do the same.
Sa bawat pagtaas ng kurtina at pagbukas ng mga ilaw ay nagsisimula ang naiibang mahika, dulot ng sining ng isang estrella na nagbibigay liwanag sa bawat entabladong kanyang tinutungtungan. Ang kanyang malawak na imahinasyon at malinaw bisyon tungo sa mga malikhaing layunin sa ibabaw ng kanyang angking kakanyahang nilinang sa disiplina, ibayong talino at karanasan ay ang mga bumubuo sa matibay na pundasyon ng kanyang dakilang sining na patuloy at walang sawang ibinabahagi sa buong mundo sa loob ng napakaraming taon.
As the proponent and exponent and the initial promoter of modern dance, she was number one.
Isa siyang tunay na original na artista sa sayaw.
Some of the things that she taught us molded myself anyway as a professional dance artist.
I said, one day, I'm going to step on that stage, I'm going to dance on that stage because nakita ko siya.
from the top.
Ito ang inspirasyon na isa sa mga Filipinong alagad ng kultura. Ito ang buhay ng dakilang pambansang alagad ng sining, Alice Reyes. Ang kanyang matapang na paggamit sa kapangyarihan ng kanyang sining ay siyang nagsilang sa makabagong uri ng pagsayaw na naghawa ng landas di lamang para sa natuklas ng naiibang estilo at paghubog sa mga modernong konsepto, kundi pati na rin sa pagbukas ng mga pintuan upang makilala ng mundo ang galing ng mga Filipinong artista at yaman ng Filipinong kalinangan. Isang direksyon na kanyang nilandas at pinunlaan patungo sa mga dakilang layunin na hinangad higit pa para sa sariling pag-unlad.
I was a probinsyano who came to Manila. Wow, dito pala may blackout pala. Dumi-dimi palang ilaw, tapos curtain open. Uy, tapos biglang nag-ilaw. Uy, may tao na sa labas. Nagsayaw sila. Nagdabating na ang isang piyesa na istorya. So I was so enthralled. Sabi ko naman, so weird. Weird ang movement. Sabi ko naman, uy, ganda nito. That thing really impressed me.
Morning. Good morning. Good morning. Hi. Hi, Mary. Hi, Lloyd. Okay, we're gonna serve bacon and eggs and danggit. Where's the danggit?
Isinilang noong ika-14 na Oktubre taong 1942 si Alice Reyes. Panganay sa 5 supling ng mag-asawang Ricardo Reyes, tinaguri ang ginoo ng katutubong sayaw ng Pilipinas, at Adoracion Garcia Reyes, isang pinagpipitagang maestra sa musika.
My mother was a teacher at Philippine Women's University College of Music and Arts. My mother was very focused on making sure that her children got the best education. For her, that opened doors, and it did.
Yung nanay niya, si Adoracion Reyes, ay pianista, musician, napakagaling din.
We always sang, we played the piano, so kailangan mag-aral kami ng piano, mag-aral kami ng paintings. Papa also had a very fine hand. You know, he sketched. So pag nagpapasyal kami sa Luneta or at the time it was called Dewey Boulevard, we would spend time sketching.
Si Mang Carding Reyes, yung tatay niya, Mr. Folk Dancer yun during his time.
So my father was the most graceful straight dancer, as a bayanihan dancer. Very handsome.
Father was a natural dancer. I mean, he worked in the bank, but his first love was music and dance.
It's A, B, C, D, E. So Alice is A, being the eldest, and then there is Beatrice, there's Cecilia, and then I'm Denisa and Edna, and a brother in between. So Alice was really the big ate, big sister. So she was very bossy. We looked up to her. She's a very determined young teenager, I remember, when she was heading the whole brood. She was a leader.
My life as growing up was really between school and work and dance. So from childhood, sumasayaw ako. So it wasn't as much fun for me on a Saturday. If it was a choice to go out with friends or to dance, I would have to dance.
She was the A+ student. She was the summa cum laude daughter. She was perfect in my mother's eye. You know, she's the oldest. So when we were going to Bulacan, my father's family, the whole clan there, and Alice would be like At an 11-year-old, 12-year-old, she already performed for the whole clan.
And all my titos and my titas, magtatapon sila ng coins.
She got all the money for Christmas.
And then all my cousins would get the coins. So I was very popular because they loved this whole thing of getting coins because I danced.
And she was wonderful. She was charming.
My family is a musical family.
And marami sa pamilya niya nagpatuloy at nagkaroon din ng ganong klaseng direction sa ating kultura. And si Alice was, of course, number one.
I always danced.
When she was little, she trained under Rosalia Merino Santos in classical ballet.
Kasama ng kanyang ama, pumasok si Alice Reyes sa Bayanihan Philippine National Dance Company kung saan siya'y lumibot kasama ang grupo sa iba't ibang bahagi ng bansa upang magtanghal. Ang tambalang nilang mag-ama ay tunay na tinangkilik ng mga manonood habang ang kanyang talento sa pagsayaw ay tuluyang nahubog ng karanasan. Di naglaon, kinilala at hinangaan ang husay ni Alice Reyes bilang mananayaw.
In 1957, the Bayanihan, which was started by PWU, organized this folk dance company they called Bayanihan, which is a wonderful, wonderful thing that came around. And my father and I, because we had been dancing together as father and daughter, we had been invited to join the Bayanihan.
Alice was 16, I think, so they did a lot of the duets in Bayanihan. They were well known in Bayanihan as a father-daughter team.
Doon kami nagkasama ni Alice, doon kami nagkakilala, and talagang magaling na dancer si Alice, no doubt about it. Pero si Alice was of a different mold, different level. I knew it, and I saw it in her.
Naging sikat siya when she started to dance with her father. You see right away the talent of someone who is outstanding. Became a father-daughter team. They would dance. They would even have a dance troupe. Sometimes they would rehearse in their sala in Sampaloc. And Edna would watch them and follow them.
And that, of course, opened up the whole world, not only for those of us in the Bayanihan, but it also opened the world's eyes to what the Philippines was all about.
Hindi pa man nagtatapos ng pag-aaral, si Alice Reyes ay ganap ng profesional sa kanyang larangan habang nakatulong sa kanyang pamilya.
It was really our growing up. She moved us from a small, very humble place in Sampaloc to a nicer, that Mandaluyong thing. She says, you know, we gotta have rooms for the girls, Mama. We can't have all four of them in the same room. Yung ganun ba? She just made sure that we grew up in a more civilized way. She had a goal for all of us to grow up in a better way, situation.
I went back to Maryknoll College and finished my Bachelor of Arts in Liberal Arts. And then at that time, I was doing television shows.
In Maryknoll College, studying college, at the same time she would perform with Bayanihan, and she would give her fees to my mother.
Because at the time you had all these musical shows, so I would choreograph for those on a weekly basis. I was studying and choreographing for 2 or 3 shows a week. I mean, so I was pretty busy dancing.
And eventually, she was able to help my mother get us all to Maryknoll College and finish in a very expensive, exclusive Catholic school.
But even then, my focus was to get masters in foreign affairs and history. So I was taking classes at Ateneo. I was going to be in foreign affairs and consular affairs.
We wouldn't have done that without Alice. So we appreciate her also that way. She was my mother's anchor also, financially.
Dancing was just something I did, I think.
So she got exposed to Philippine dance, traditional, ethnic, Hispanic, folk dance. And then when she went to the United States to pursue her postgraduate degree in fine arts major in dance, she trained in contemporary dance, modern dance.
Sa Estados Unidos, siya ay inanyayahan ni Hanya Holm, isang tinaguriang Big Four ng kilusan ng modernong sayaw upang mabihasa ito sa New York. Dito siya'y nagsanay sa ilalim ng mga tanyag na mananayaw at koreograpo. Tulad din ng Martha Graham, Merce Cunningham, Bessie Schoenberg, Alwin Nicolais,
Embassy, who was the cultural attaché, had said to me, there is a scholarship that you can get if you want to go. And this was at the Colorado College in Colorado Springs. And it was a summer scholarship. So I said, sure, I'll go. Be an ambassador or something. I took the whole thing very seriously. That I went to New York, took classes with all the major schools, and then decided that perhaps I needed something more solid than going from one dance studio to another. So I looked around at colleges and applied for scholarships. And I got one from Sarah Lawrence. And I felt that I could still participate in all the fabulous theater and Broadway and dance and opera and musical life that Manhattan offered. No? So that's what I did.
Nagpatuloy siya sa kanyang devotion sa stage, in dance in particular. Nagsanay siya rin sa modern dance, which at that time was not really commonly known. Alice, I would say, pioneered in that particular direction under the training of the dance masters of her time from New York.
And so I did take up masters and got that.
Kaya pagbalik niya rito, naging...
Bukod dito, pinagkalooban din ng scholarship si Alice Reyes ng John D. Rockefeller Third Fund at ng Music Promotion Foundation of the Philippines.
And then when I came back here, Mrs. Marcos had built this theater. And I had an invitation to go and see it. So I sat up there, I think it's balcony 1 or even balcony 2, and they had presented Dularawan. It was an amazing discovery that we had a theater that was so beautiful. This theater is first class. But the building was empty. They didn't have programs lined up. So I went to Miss Casilag and I said, I'm prepared to do a concert. Would you be interested?
The idea of a modern dance concert.
At that time, the chairman was Mr. Jaime Zobel, and Tita King was artistic director, I think.
So the following year, in February 1970, she staged a first modern dance concert here at the CCP by a Filipino group. And she named that group Alice Reyes and Modern Dance Company, which was followed a few months after by a dance workshop, which attracted a lot of dancers, ballet dancers, folk dancers, theater artists. They all came here.
So I trained them for almost 6 months in the modern dance idiom, because nobody had any training in the modern dance idiom, which I had taken up in the States. So that was the beginning of the modern dance, I think, the introduction of modern dance to Manila. Lito Atienza was my first manager for the Alice Reyes Modern Dance Company.
I was with Alfredo Roses. Double pleasure of helping the Cultural Center in its mission, and at the same time helping a friend, Alice Reyes, to be promoted properly.
And because it was so successful, he had said, why don't we take it on a tour? So we toured. We brought it down to the Visayas and to Mindanao and up north.
And from then on, after that first presentation, naging tanyag na si Alice, na Pilipinas, na modern dance master, proponent, and expert.
And then in 1974, when that group became a regular season performer here at CCP, they applied to be the resident dance company of the CCP. And they were renamed CCP Dance Company. It was renamed Ballet Philippines in 1980 as it is now.
So that was the beginning of the whole dance development for me here in this theater.
Mula noon hanggang sa kasalukuyan, ang tanyag at ehemplong grupo ng Ballet Philippines ay naging bukal sa mga klasikong pagtatanghal na pumukaw sa damdamin at tumatak sa alaala ng mga manonood sa loob at labas ng bansa.
I did Amada, which was my thesis at Sarah Lawrence for my master's. And Amada was based on Nick Joaquin's Summer Solstice.
And it's a beautifully done, very dramatic, yet very eminism.
Yung si Don Rafael, napadpad sa ritual ng mga babae. Ang lakas ng ritual ng mga babae. Tapos yung Tatarin, the leader, type ng mga babae ang Amada kasi ano yan ang power ng babae over men.
So many messages in that piece, but beautifully and powerfully expressed through the choreography.
Kinrap mo kasi yung choreography to the soul of this person, to the personality of that given title. Amada is crafted to the person of Alice Reyes.
As she dances, and oh my God, she was sexy. A sexy woman. Sabi ko, my God, who is this? Sexy. Of course, I know, it's Alice Reyes. Ang haba ng buhok, sexy, tapos ang haba ng ganda ng paa, high extension, sabi ko naman,
That was the first piece that I think opened the eyes of the audiences who came and saw that modern dance genre was a very good vehicle to use for developing our Filipino stories, Filipino music, and Filipino collaborative theater arts.
It was Russia. This was a choreography of Cora Inigo for Ballet Philippines. It's based on Amelia La Peña Bonifacio's Paglalakbay ni Sisa with Alice Reyes as Sisa. And I played Basilio. The other one was Crispin. And the two of us were lifting her. Parang nakadapang ganun siya. And we were lifting her here at saka sa legs. Then her shoulder gave in. Yung joint dito lumabas, yung buto. And then, ibinalik namin sa socket and she continued dancing despite the pain.
You know, pride. 29 standing ovation, would you believe? Yun ang pinakmahabang standing ovation na natikman namin sa Vilnius, Russia. When they appreciated our dances, the Philippine dances in that given concert. And then everywhere we go, even to the remotest part of Russia, lahat sila, wow, this is so beautiful. And they really came again. Napupuno talaga yung theater, bumabalik talaga sila.
Kasama na rito ang makahalagang kolaborasyon ng iba't ibang henyo mula sa iba't ibang larangan ng sining. Nagsanib puwersa upang makabuo ng mga klasikong obra maestra sa pangunguna ni Alice Reyes.
Yung aking akda na ginawa niya ng sayaw, yung Tales of the Manubu, ang CCP nag-assign sa kanya. Talagang kanyang likha yung sayaw ng Tales of the Manubu. Medyo mahirap yung Tales of the Manubu dahil Alice's suggestion, ibinase yon sa mga kwentong bayan ng mga Manobo sa Mindanao.
Tales of the Manuvu, which was a work by music by Nonong Pedero, choreography by Alice Reyes, libretto by Bienvenido Lumbera. I like that piece. I danced in that piece. I was the kontrabida.
Tales of the Manubo na una. And that was a rock concert. Ano yun siya? Pioneering. Na may singers, tapos ang dance. Nasa tabi ang singers, but the show, Tales of the Manubu, was so innovative of the time. It was so trailblazing at the time. Na singers and dancers. So much so, na ginaya namin dito sa Davao.
I think they're restaging it.
Which is a challenge to me because I think I have to re-choreograph, and at this point where I can't dance like I used to is a challenge. So it's going to be very interesting.
The other work is Itim Asu. I think that's another masterpiece. It's about the assassination of Governor Bustamante during the Spanish colonial period, based on Virginia Moreno's script.
The music was done by Alfredo Tolentino. The set was done by Jaime de Guzman, the painter. Costumes were by Salvador Bernal. And based on Virginia Moreno's La Loba Negra, which he also took from an earlier piece. No? So that was also very successful because again, it's like, wow, atin ito.
She was the first of a kind here in the Philippines to get into that integration of Filipino to a modern dance, integration of idea. One good example was that the Ramahari.
It was a very big story because it was based on the Ramayana, and then she wove the dancing and the music and the design with a lot of good artists. So Miss Alice was able to put together a very enchanting piece of work, and actually it was very massive.
Gimeri niya ang singer, nagsha-shadow na with the dancer. Si Rama, dancer, at ang singer nasa likod niya, kumakanta. So, nag-i-interact dalawa, ang dancers at ang singers.
You see the story through the dance, you see the story through the set, but you also feel the story through the words and the music. It was just very enchanting.
Alam mo, wala kang itutulak, itapon, habigin sa mga nagawa ni Alice. All of that are gems. The likes of Ramahari, Tales of the Manubu, Itim Asu, Amada, lahat, practically lahat, sobrang ganda talaga. Wala akong maisip na pwede kong sabihin na, ay, ito hindi masyado maganda, ay, ito hindi. Hindi. Everything that Alice touches becomes an art.
So I encouraged a lot of new choreographies done by different Filipinos to commission Filipino works, musical works that the Culture Center had sponsored. So that was also very, very helpful.
Siya na rin pinagmulan ng maraming makuhusay na mananayaw, koreograpo, guro, at pinuno ng iba't ibang grupo sa sayaw na nabuo dahil sa pagkikayat at inspirasyong ibinabahagi ng ina ng modernong sayaw ng bansa.
Para akong pumasok sa ng karayom, testing niya muna. Pina-choreograph muna ako ng maliit na pyesa sa school. Pero naramdaman kong binabantayan niya yung aking works. Na hindi yung, basta pwede ka na, main theater ka na. Tagal ko makaabot sa main theater. She helped clarify a lot of things in the process of choreography. But mostly, I really felt that may cross-check siya ba bago niya paanuhin ang choreographer.
3 lead role agad, hindi pa ako nakakasign ng contract. I mean, those things, experience-wise, I know that she saw something in a person. One good example is me. Ang talent, she sees right away into that kind of inner. may malalim siyang pagtingin eh. Malawak na ang kanyang kaalaman.
Miss Alice is a little bit intimidating because she likes doing things very well, and that means she expects everybody to do their part.
She was very, very strict with, especially because we were sisters, and she was then artistic director of Ballet Philippines. Of course, we had to excel.
Kaya yun, matapang siya. Pero isipin mo naman ang na-accomplish niya. Nobody soft-spoken can accomplish what she did. Professionalized dance in the Philippines. Creator of outstanding Filipino dance works.
She's not mataray as in per se mataray. Whoever is handling something, merong din lalabas din ang temper. Actually, she's a soft person. Malambot ang kanyang puso. Mapagbigay. Anything that we go out, anything that we extra performances, there's always the share, something like that Alice would say, this is for you, And this one is for the company.
She taught us professionalism, how to we can 110% in anything that we endeavor. In dance, we had to be the best.
Ang importante sa kanya yung dedication yung bunga ng production at yung galing ng mga performer. So discipline is number one, and you can rely on Alice as far as that's concerned. She knew how to train people, and she knew how to make people appreciate her art.
There's one incident na hindi pa uso social media nun, no? Walang text, walang cellphone, telepono lang. Buti kung makakuha ka pa ng landline. Mahirap kumuha ng landline. Since bagsak ang telepono, all of that, because it's signal number 3, we have to go.
We would work at the basement. The CCP ballet studio is at the basement of this building. There wouldn't be any air conditioning, no lights, kasi brown out.
We know that Alice is going to be there and that she will rehearse true enough, no? I remember crossing the Rojas Boulevard at signal number 3, yung payong ko nga bumaliktad na sa sobrang lakas ng hangin. Tapos basang-basa ka na. But when I enter the artist entrance ng CCP, madilim, syempre blackout, no? Pero I know there's light in the rehearsal hall, and true enough, Alice is there waiting with all the candles all around the rehearsal hall, at tapos nagpabili siya ng battery kasi tuloy ang rehearsal.
She would push us, and because she had to finish the choreography or she had to rehearse and clean up the dance. It was hard, but we willingly worked with her.
She demanded a certain kind of standard, and that she put into Ballet Philippines as well. That's why I think Ballet Philippines is one of the most successful dance companies.
Isang pinuno at dakilang haligi ng sining na lumikha ng mga bagong direksyon at daan para sa makabagong pananaw, kontemporanyong estilo tungo sa pagpapaunlad ng Filipinong sayaw.
That was the first presentation na ang ginamit na estilo ay modern dance. So hindi pa natin sigurado kung magpapalakpakan ng tao o uuwi. Dahil pag hindi nagustuhan ng audience yung presentation, pwedeng tumayo yun, umuwi anytime. Pero hindi, napako sila sa mga upuan nila dahil yung emotion and feeling of that particular show that she presented captivated the audience, and that's the reason why she continued on being recognized as the queen of modern dance in the Philippines.
Yung kanyang idea here at the Ballet Philippines, here at the Cultural Center, advocacy niya is that the pursuant ang kanyang pagpapalawak ng kaalaman at appreciation ng kultura ng sayaw. Na-integrate niya yung Filipino story into the modern dance. Pinagsama niya at ikinikwento niya ng maganda. Ang maganda pa noon ay maganda ang presentasyon.
The type of dances that Alice brought us is something that capture every audience kasi iba yung pagkaka-craft niya. May classicness The Alice Reyes type of modern dance is something so beautiful na it extends. Parang kung papanoorin mo siya, parang nahihila yung soul mo.
Sa kanyang paglalakbay tungo sa paghubog at paglinang ng kanyang sining ay kanyang binigyang kahulugan ang tunay na layunin ng isang Filipinong artista. Sa kanyang mga ipinunlang panahon, dedikasyon, kahusayan, kalidad ng profesionalismo at karanasan tungo sa pagpapaunlad ng Filipinong larangan ng sayaw.
Training dancers, training choreographers, training teachers from the experience that she gave when they were company members. Ngayon, lumalawak. At saka yung value na inilabas niya when we were still dancing, nagagamit nila ngayon.
Look at Ballet Philippines now. For nearly 50 years na siya, all these years, hindi kailangan i-prove ng Ballet Philippines na kailangan niyang patotohanan sa tao na magaling kami. No. Ballet Philippines will always be Ballet Philippines. The professional level of performing in Ballet Philippines will always be the same. Nandun siya sa international level. That's one, no? The kind of working etiquette na na-develop ng lahat ng mananayo doon starts from Alice. You know, nagte-transfer siya from generation to generation without Alice even saying a word. Yun ang iniwan na siguro legacy ni Alice. That kind of working condition will always be there.
My mother instilled in me this teaching that talent is God-given, and if you are given that talent, it was a responsibility for you to develop it and to make sure that you stay with it and made it part of your life and that you shared it with as many as you can. So for me, I always felt that I needed to do this. I had, so it wasn't really a choice.
Ang kanyang uliraning ehemplo ay nagsisilbing tanglaw at modelo di lamang para sa mga Filipinong mananayaw, kundi pati sa mga kulturang manggagawa. Ito ang kanyang kaganapan bilang isang esensyal at kumpletong artista, bilang isang tunay na alagad ng sining.
I remember a policy sa Cultural Center. Nagbabayad ng super mahal ang mayayaman, yung mahihirap, piso ang general admission dun sa balcony. Nakareserba palagi yun sa mga mahihirap. Dahil sabi nga niya, walang saysay ang ating pagsisikap to promote culture, both international and local, kung ang mga mahihirap hindi kasali.
To start with, ang works niya, karamihan talaga Philippinized, Filipino works. Pero ang aking pinaka-appreciate, she built a company that has become the institution for creating Filipino works, for choreographers, then up to now. Ballet Philippines nag-e-encourage ng Filipinization. Parang feeling mo, pag choreograph mo pa, kailangan Pinoy.
She did through her own efforts, with the help of us and the other people who helped Ballet Philippines, professionalize the company by giving them a career. When I say giving them a career, the dancers a career, is that they can make a living out of being dancers. I think Ballet Philippines was the first one to give monthly salaries, stipends, etc. So that's a big achievement for Philippine dance.
Ang legasiya na inaalay ni dakilang pambansang alagad ng sining, Alice Reyes, ay higit pa sa pagpapayaman ng Filipinong sayaw. Ang kanyang mga kulturang ambag sa kabuuan ay isang masagana at matatag na pundasyon para sa mga panibagong Filipinong pangarap at malikhaing mga layunin para sa kasalukuyan at sa susunod na salinlahi.
Well, I think she always as a dancer and as a choreographer, she was able to elevate dance in a more contemporary way when she introduced collaborations between visual artists, Filipino composers. I think this is what we're still doing now, partnering with other disciplines as dance as the pivotal art form. She started that in the 1970s. I think if you look at her works, it's a pride inside of her as a Filipino to be able to bring out through dance our history.
Well, the young ballet dancers look up to Miss Alice. They know that she's done so many works. They know how she started everything from scratch here in the CCP with Ballet Philippines. And the young artists respect her. They see her as somebody they would like to follow. They would like to show that they know what she expects. So even if they are young, they want to be able to show her that they can carry on what she has started.
When I became artistic director, sinundan ko lang yung pattern niya. Tapos naintindihan ko na bakit alas 2 hanggat alas 10 ang trabaho nila. Bakit kailangan matapos na ganyan? Binabantayan ko noon ang ginagawa ni Alice at ina-absorb. And I learned. from her?
Well, dance is very important because it develops the body. You know, so we all have the ability to move and to dance. As a country, as a culture, and as a nation, we are so musical anyway. So it's very important to develop that natural talent. But dance is also a terrific medium, as we can see with the success of pieces like Amada and Itimasu and Hulupakal and Encantado of Agnes Locsin and all these other major works. It's a fantastic way of developing our stories, our mythology, our beliefs, our attitudes. It should be part and parcel of the whole educational plan and the whole cultural development.
Mananayaw, koreograpo, iskolar at guro, direktor, pinuno at ina, si Binibining Alice Reyes ay isa sa malikhaing bisyonaryo na nagpamalas ng naiibang talino, husay at higit sa lahat ng malalim na pag-unawa sa kahulugan at layunin ng isang alagad ng sining. Ina ng modernong sayaw ng Pilipinas, si pambansang alagad ng sining Alice Reyes ay isang buhay na patunay na ang kadakilaan ng isang artista ay nakasalalay di lamang sa kanyang galing, kundi pati sa ibayong pagsusumikap at disiplina, bukas na kamalayan sa pagpapayaman ng kaalaman, pagyakap sa mga bagong karanasan, matapang na saloobin at paninindigan, pagmamahal, pagpapahalaga sa sining, at pagtupad sa tungkulin.
I mean, this is in dance. I mean, it may be different for painting and for sculptures, but for me in dance, I do a tremendous amount of research. And then I want to emphasize to them the importance of the craftsmanship. I don't believe in, basta ito yung gusto ko. It has to be grounded in craftsmanship and the standards. Don't do it for your audience. You need to be true to yourself. All creative efforts are not guaranteed to be successful. We learn from our mistakes. We learn from our failures. So don't be afraid of that. Just go for it.
Ang kanyang buhay ay isang ehemplo, di lamang para sa mga artistang Filipino, kundi para sa bawat Pilipino.
Yes, be proud of being a Filipino. We are such a talented country, nation, and our mixture of the exposure of different cultures, the Western heritage from Spain and the Americas, the Asian influences, those all, I think, contribute to our being much more citizens of a wider world. Expose yourself to as much as you can, but be very proud of being a Filipino. Again,
Alice Reyes, ina ng modernong sayaw ng Pilipinas, pambansang alagad ng sining sa sayaw, sa gisag kultura ng Pilipinas.
the Freedom of Information Project Management Office in conducting campus caravans is to encourage our students to be able to utilize the FOI portal as a research tool. You have to go to www.foi.gov.ph, then create an account. You have to fill in the details. You attach your ID, then you verify your email address, then afterwards you can choose your agency, then you ask your question. Simple as that.
Pakalaking tulong sa amin na malaman yung mga ganitong bagay kasi especially that I'm also a journalist, mahalaga na makagather ka talaga yung mga totoong information.
Upang mabigyan ng pangmatagalang tulong ang ating mga kababayang nais magbalik probinsya at makapagsimulang muli, pinagtibay ni Pangulong Duterte ang Executive Order No. 114 o ang Balik Probinsya, Bagong Pag-asa Program.
Go home to the province, they have the means of going back there. And there is a promise. What is really very important is we give them hope.
Na-issue rin po kahapon ng ating Presidente ang Executive Order No. 114. Ito po ay yung sa Balik Probinsya, Bagong Pag-asa Program as a pillar of balanced regional development.
Noong ika-20 ng Mayo, ang programa ay matagumpay na nakapagpauwi na ng mahigit 100 residente pabalik ng Leyte na inaasahang darami pa. At dahil nais agarang tugunan ang mga pangangailangan ng ating mga stranded na kababayan, ipinagpaliban muna ang rollout ng Balik Probinsya Bagong Pag-asa Program upang ihandog ng ating pamahalaan ang hatid tulong.
I decided as a matter of strategy na isuspend muna ang ating rollouts for the Balik Probinsya Bagong Pag-asa to give way. Unahin natin kasi this was a very clear instruction from the President. Unahin, pauwiin na ang ating mga kababayan na stranded dito sa Maynila. And pagdating ng panahon na tapos na itong mga problema ng stranded, the Balik Probinsya will now take the second phase already in the succeeding rollouts and simultaneous rollouts to all of the provinces of their choice.
Pilipino to kababayan natin. Tanggapin ninyo and provide for sequestration houses if you want. Yung doon sila i-quarantine. Pero hati-hati tayo sa problema. Total, hindi naman kami nagkulang. Whatever you need, we provide. Kawawa naman. Tulungan ninyo yung mga Pilipino.
It's not about the flash nor the spin. It's about shining the light on the real numbers.
People, technology, trends. If people are talking about it, we're on it.
We give you context, balance, accuracy, even as we follow the trail of development and change.
It's news, never sensational, always factual. Catch it at the end of the day here on PTV News Tonight.
Maayong udto Pilipinas, gikan dire sa PTV Davao. Nakipag-istorya si Presidente Rodrigo Roa Duterte sa katauhang Pilipino kagabi. Kini ang pipila sa salient points. Una, masayang inanunsyo ni Presidente ang pagbibigay ng Russia sa Pilipinas ng bakuna laban sa COVID-19. Dahil dito, nagpasalamat ang ating Presidente kay Russian President Vladimir Putin. Dagdag ni Presidente, willing siya na maging kauna-unahang Pilipino na tatanggap ng anti-COVID-19 shots mula po sa Russia. The Philippines appreciates Russia's offer of cooperation to jointly combat the COVID-19 pandemic. The Philippines stands ready to work with Russia on clinical trials, vaccine supply and production, and other areas deemed practicable by relevant Philippine and Russian agencies to address this global health emergency. Like similar bilateral and multilateral agreements, all cooperation initiatives will be consistent with protocols for testing and health standards. International cooperation is key to effectively combat this global pandemic. Consistent with the President's independent foreign policy, we continue to work with partners across the world to ensure access to safe vaccine. Tukol naman po sa telco permits, nauna nang pinag-utos ni Presidente na pabilisin ang mga prosesong telco application. In-report ni Secretary Anyo kagabi na mayroong 1,930 applications nang na-file, 1,502 ang approved at 428 na still pending. Yan po ang tututukan ng DILG. Inuulat din ng kalihim na papatawad ng preventive suspension ang 50 barangay captains habang iniimbestigahan ng ombudsman. Ito po ay tungkol dun sa mga korupsyon na sa ating SAP. At panghuli, ipinakita ni Presidente na seryoso siya sa issue ng korupsyon sa PhilHealth. Sa bibig mismo ng Pangulo nang galing, and I quote, "Nakalusot kayo sa ibang presidente, pero dito sa akin, sad-sad talaga kayo." Dito natin makikita na walang sacred cow sa Administrasyong Duterte, lalong-lalo na dyan po sa PhilHealth. Pumunta naman tayo sa health protocol in the workplace sa applicable sa MECQ na i-report kahapon ni Secretary Lopez sa harapan po ni Presidente. Una po, kinakailangan ang pagbibigay ng shuttle service ng mga malalaking kumpanya. At habang nasa loob ng shuttle, walang tanggalan ng face mask or face shield. Walang dine-in sa mga kantin, pack food at delivery lamang po. Bawal ang common smoking areas. Pinapayagan lang po ang individual smoking areas or booths in open spaces. Kailangan may physical distancing, kailangan may face mask, face shield kung nasa loob ng isang kwarto na may higit isang tao o tuwing may meeting o nasa loob ng shuttle. Madalas na paghugas ng kamay at disinfection ng mga lugar, pagkuha ng temperature ng mga empleyado at mga panauhin. Ang pagkakaroon ng Health Protocol Officer at pagbuo ng Occupational Safety and Health Protocol Committee para istriktong maipatupad ang protocols ng kumpanya. Ang pagtitrain sa mga empleyado ng bagong health protocol standard. Company visits and audits ng DOLE, DTI at LGU. Ito naman po ang August 3 to 9 monitoring report ng ating mga kasamahan sa akademya ng University of the Philippines. Ito po ang average number of new cases per day sa buong bansa. Makikita na bumababa ang mga bagong kaso mula 3,698 last July 25 to August 2 to 3,194 new cases last August 3 to 9. Makikita naman natin sa susunod na slide na bagaman marami po ang mga bagong kaso, ang reproduction number or R0 na tinatawag ay patuloy na bumababa. Magandang balita po ito. Ano po ba yung R0 na tinatawag? Ito po yung mga numero na nahahawa ng mga COVID positive. Kung noong unang linggo ng Hulyo, ang R0 ay 1.65 o more or less dalawang nahahawa ng isang COVID positive patient, bumaba na po ito ng 1.12. Kung i-round off, isa na lang po ang nahahawa. Ang target po natin, syempre, ay dapat less than 1. Ito naman po ang R0 sa NCR mula sa peak na 1.81 noong July 4 to 10 ay naging 1.18 ang R0 noong August 3 to 9. Ito naman po ang ating NCR hospital utilization. 77% ang occupied ng ating mga ICU, 79% ang hospital beds at 47% naman po ang mga ventilators. Bagamat critical level pa rin po ang ICU beds dahil greater than 70% ang occupancy, meron naman po tayong mga kinukumpleto na mga additional ICU beds. No? For instance, sa Quirino Medical Center po, magkakaroon ng 50-bed integrated emergency room, 50-bed intensive care units, at 30 beds for moderate cases. Atin na rin kino-convert po ang mga isolation room sa lung center para maging 20-bed intensive care unit. Kinokompleto na rin ang East Avenue for moderate cases with dormitory complex strategy dyan po sa Quezon Institute. Kasama rito ang 120-bed single dorm for moderate cases and 80 beds for health workers dormitory. Patuloy naman po ang pagtaas ng testing capacity per day dito po sa NCR. From 11,067 tests last June 27 to 3 to 14,705 per day last August 3 to 9. Sa NCR lang po yan. Tingnan naman po natin ang sitwasyon sa Cebu. No? Makikita na patuloy ang pagbaba ng mga bagong kaso sa Cebu pagkatapos ma-impose ang ECQ at MECQ. From a peak of 307 new cases last June 27 to July 3, ay naging 92 new cases na lamang po last August 3 to 9. Naabot na rin ng Cebu ang less than 1 R0 target. 0.54 na po ang Cebu last August 3 to 9 kumpara sa 1.54 R0 last June 27 to July 3. At yung target na less than 5% positivity rate, malapit na rin maabot ng Cebu. Nag 7% po ang Cebu noong unang linggo ng Agosto. Ayon sa UP, MECQ is working pero kinakailangan gawin mas epektibo ang implementasyon nito. Ito po ang gagawin ng ating gobyerno para makabit ito. Una, nagkakaroon po tayo ngayon ng agresibong pagtetest, especially dun sa mga lockdown ng mga barangays. Sa ngayon, ang Pilipinas po ang pinakamataas mag-test sa ASEAN at mas mataas pa nga po tayo sa Korea at Japan. Pangalawa, agresibong contact tracing gamit ang magalong formula. Isang tracer, maghahanap po ng 37 close contact na isang positive. Pangatlo, agresibong isolation through Oplan Kalinga at pagtatayo ng mas marami pang pasilidad kasama na po yung pagkuha ng mga hotel rooms para maging isolation centers. Panglima, build up po ng ICU beds at pag-secure ng effective treatment interventions. Okay, nasabi ko na po kanina na medyo critical po ang ating mga ospital pero naggagawa po tayo ng mga bagong ICU and bed capacity at kumukuha ng mas maraming doktor, nurse at medical personnel. Panghuli, makikita sa UP study na ang karanasan ng Cebu ay maaaring maging template natin para ma-reverse po ang surge sa NCR. Ibig sabihin, kaya po natin pababain ang pagkalat ng COVID-19. Nagawa ng Cebu, magagawa ng Metro Manila at ng karating lugar. COVID-19 update naman po tayo. Tingnan po natin ang global cases ayon sa Johns Hopkins. Mayroon po tayong 66 sa Johns Hopkins po, ang pinakamarami pa rin kaso ay ang bansang Estados Unidos, 5,089,416, Brazil, 3,057,470, India, 2,215,074. Sa Pilipinas po, meron po tayong 136,638 total cases, Indonesia, 127,083. Sa ngayon po, dito sa Pilipinas, meron tayong 66,186 total active cases ayon po sa pinakahuling case bulletin ng DOH. Sa mga aktibong kaso, 91.6% naman po ay mild at 7.2% ay asymptomatic. Tanging 0.6% lang po ang severe at 0.6% lang po ay critical. Patuloy din po ang pagtaas ng recoveries. Mayroon na po tayong 68,159 na na-report na mga gumagaling. Samantala, malungkot kong balita na 24 po ang na-report na binawian ng buhay kahapon. Sumatotal, ang ating total deaths po ay 2,294. Meron naman po tayong mahigit pa sa 1.5 million, papunta na po sa 2 million total individuals tested sa mahigit 100 or 101 laboratories. On other matters, may lumabas pong fake news tungkol sa akin sa isang pahayagan. Well, sinabi naman po ng pahayagan na fake news talaga yon. Ang sinabi ko daw, COVID lang yan, kaunti lang mamamatay kahit umabot pa ng 10 milyon. Hindi ko po sinabi yon. Ang sinabi ko po ay ibang-iba, no? At mag-ingat po tayo sa mga fake news. tanging sa webpage lang po ng presidential spokesperson o sa Harry Roque page kayo kumuha ng impormasyon o di naman kaya sa POCC webpages. At yung mga nagkakalat ng fake news, sasampulan ko po kayo. Paimbestigahan ko kayo at ako po ay magsasampa ng kaso. Antayan niyo po yan. Okay. Pero sa panahon ng pandemya, yung mga walang magawa, wag na po kayo magkalat ng fake news. Isa pa rin fake news po, yung napaulat kahapon na may isang eroplano daw na puno ng OFW at lahat daw po, LSI ay dumating sa Bacolod. Wala pong ganyang pangyayari. Wala pong libo-libong mga positibo ang dumating sa Bacolod. Hindi po nangyari yan. Okay? Mamaya po siguro, bibigyan linaw yan ni NTF Chief Implementer Secretary Galvez para mas lalong bigyang linaw itong bagay na ito. Ay, nandito na po pala si Secretary Villar. Welcome, Secretary Villar, ang ating isolation SAR. Tamang-tama po na dumating si Secretary Villar. Sir, Secretary, kanina po binasa ko yung ilang mga bagong mga ICU beds na ginagawa natin sa East Avenue, sa Quirino, at iba pang mga lugar. Ano pa po yung mga bagong mga isolation facilities at additional bed capacity na tinatayo po ng DPWH bilang kayo po ang isolation SAR?
Salamat po, Sec. Harry. Tama po, dahil gusto natin na improve ang bed capacity natin, pati yung ICU capacity. On August 17, magkakaroon po tayo ng additional 210 additional ICU capacity. Ito po yung ginagawa sa East Avenue. It's the DOH. Kami po, tumutulong kami sa project implementation. So we can expect within by next week, malaki po ang maging improvement sa ICU capacity. At meron din kaming additional na gagawin sa Quirino Hospital, pati sa Quezon Institute. Gagawa kami ng pop-up hospital. Ito po ay para madagdagan ang ICU capacity natin by 110 beds. So marami po tayong plano para ma-improve po ang critical care utilization. At sa ating mga quarantine facilities, we will expect that by the end of this month, magkakaroon po tayo we'll be completing about 300 facilities with a total of 12,200 bed capacity. For this month, meron po tayong ongoing na 95 facilities. It's almost 3,000 additional bed capacity. Kaya marami po tayong projects at kami po nagpapasalamat din kami sa private sector na tumutulong. Meron po tayong tent na tinatayo ngayon sa Nayong Pilipino with the help of the Rason Group at madadagdagan po tayo ng 500 bed capacity. So tuloy-tuloy po ang pagtatayo ng quarantine facilities at isolation facilities.
Nagpapasalamat po tayo sa Razon Group at nabalitaan ko rin po na nag-offer po na mag-equip ng bagong 250 bed capacity sa East Avenue Medical Center ang MVP Group. Maraming salamat po sa inyong mga tulong sa Razon at sa MVP Group. Now, habang inaantay po natin si Chief Implementer Secretary Galvez at saka si Chief Testing SAR Vince Dizon, siguro simulan po natin ang ating open forum, no? Yusek Rocky, titigil na lang po natin ang open forum pag nakapasok na sa linya either si Chief Implementer, si Testing SAR Vince Dizon or si Chief Implementer Secretary Galvez. Yes, Rocky, yung unang question natin. And please, if you have questions to Secretary Villar, please ask them as well.
Good afternoon, Secretary Roque. First question, galing po kay Ms. Ruth Palo of the Manila Times. For Secretary Roque, NDFP Chief Political Consultant Jose Maria Sison has blamed the Duterte administration for the killing of Anak Pawi's Chairman Randy Echanis yesterday in Quezon City. Any reaction to this?
Well, antayin po natin ang investigasyon ng pulisya dyan. No? Ito naman po ay kaso ng murder o homicide at inimbestigahan po yan ng ating kapulisan. No? Huwag sana pong mabilis magbintang sa gobyerno dahil ang CPP-NPA nagkaroon din naman po sila ng karanasan na sila nagpatayan.
From Ruth pa rin po, a question for Secretary Villar. Ano na daw po ang update sa Davao-Samal Bridge Project?
Yung Davao-Samal Bridge po, ang target po namin by October or November, magkakaroon na po ng bidding. And by December this year, magkakaroon din ng loan agreement. And by next year, we will implement the project.
Opo. Tanong pa rin po naman ni Cherry May Palikte of PNA para pa rin po kay Secretary Villar on Samal Bridge pa rin. What is the timeline of completion since nagka-aberya ito during the pandemic?
We expect na hindi naman magbabago yung timeline masyado. Siyempre, siguro depende rin kung ano magiging... but we expect by next year, magiging normal sana ang implementation natin. So we hope to start it by next year. And of course, the bridge project will take several years to complete. But we're happy that sa ngayon po, we're at advanced stage. And by this year, magkakaroon na po ang bidding.
Opo. Thank you, Secretary Villar. Question from Ms. Malu Tolentino of Radio Pilipinas for Secretary Roque. Ano daw po, what are the strategies of the government to lower down the bringing effect of COVID-19 virus as the present reality cases continue to increase? How do these government programs effectively and efficiently lessen the impact of this crisis as the government is striving to save our economy, bringing back to normal the businesses, livelihood, and help returning OFWs? Would the calibrated 2021 budget and infrastructure development project be the saving grace to the effect of the pandemic?
Napakadami pong tanong actually yan, no, na binalot sa isang tanong. Unang-una, ang strategiya po natin para dun sa COVID-19, no? Pinapainting po natin ang testing, lalong-lalo na dun sa mga areas na meron pa ring localized lockdown, bagamat MECQ po tayo. No? Tanging sa pagpapainting po ng testing, malalaman natin kung sino may mga masakit, at matapos na natin malaman kung sino may sakit, sila po ilalagay natin sa isolation. No? Na ginagawa po at nagpaparami pa po tayo ng isolation facilities, gaya ng sinabi po ni Secretary Villar. Pinapainting na rin po natin yung ating tracing, no? At sinusunod po natin yung formula ni Mayor Magalong. No? Sa Baguio po kasi, kada isang kaso, tinitrace nila yung close contact na up to 37. Lahat po yan binibigyan ng swab test. Now, ang alam ko po, dahil sa Manila maraming kaso, baka hindi naman po up to 37, pero minimum 10 po ang kanilang ititrace. At karamihan po doon ay mabibigyan na rin ng PCR test dahil napakataas na nga na ating actual testing na ginagawa sa Metro Manila. Pagkatapos po niyan, yung One Hospital Command nga po, no? Siya po ngayon ang nagko-coordinate kung saan pupunta ang mga pasyente nang sa ganun po, hindi mangyayari yung pasyente na kinakailangan ng ICU bed ay hindi makakakuha ng ICU bed. Napakaganda po ng programa ni Yusek Vega at gumagana po siya. No? At nagkaroon nga po ng inauguration yung One Hospital Command Center dyan po sa opisina ng MMDA. At siyempre po, alam na po natin yung mga bagong gamot na ginagamit para sa COVID-19. Nandyan po yung high flux cannula na ginagamit na alam natin mas nakakasalba ng buhay, yung Remdesivir, yung Avigan, at yung iba pang mga bagong gamot po na ginagamit natin ngayon.
Opo, tanong pa rin po kay
pagbangon ng ekonomiya. Well, nandyan nga po yung ating Bayanihan 2 kung saan magbibigay tayo ng ayuda na naman at iba pang mga tulong worth at least 160 billion pesos. At gagamitin din po natin yung 4 trillion plus budget for 2021 bilang stimulus package din para tayo po ay mabilis na makabangon dito sa sagulot na dulot po sa COVID-19.
May tanong pa rin po para po kay Secretary Villar. Secretary Villar, when will be the final schedule daw po of the construction of the bridge linking Davao City and Garden City of Samal? Is there still a need to consider the work specification and variations on the projects? Do you consider a direct connection to the airport terminal as Samal Island is more on tourism hotspot? Aside from Samal Bridge daw po as major project in Mindanao, how about the project on Mindanao Railway System? Are you considering to finish this under the administration of President Rodrigo Duterte?
Salamat po. Sa Davao Samal Bridge, with regards to ang magiging ang magiging format po ng bridge ngayon is design and build. So ang design and build ipapabid out sa October, November, at pag natapos po yung bidding, gagawa sila ng mga final design. So pwede magkaroon ng mga design adjustments, pero more or less nakaset na po yung alignment ng Davao Samal Bridge, and we expect that by next year we will start the actual construction of the bridge. At regards to the Andanar network, a project po ng DOTR, ang alam ko po, better siguro mas mabuti tanungin po natin si Sec. Art Tugade kasi under sa DOTR yung
PNA, how many isolation facilities were built in Davao region? If there is, when is the expected completion of those facilities?
Well, we already have some existing facilities na because ginagamit po namin yung mga evacuation centers. At sa Region 11, we have some about 300 bed capacity that's already under construction. Pero madadagdagan po ang construction natin. Sa ngayon po, nag-identify po kami ng mga sites, and we'll be building an additional 164 facilities with 4,100 bed capacity after this. Siguro pag natapos po itong batch na ito, by the next batch will include another 4,000. So tuloy-tuloy po yung pag-construct namin ng mga isolation. So at least pag na-test po at na-trace ang mga COVID positive, pwede na ilagay kaagad sa...
Dadagdag ko lang, Yusek, na dahil nga po ang target natin minimum 10 ang ititrace natin, at kung meron tayong 6,000 new cases, that means 60,000, gagamitin din po natin ang mga public schools. At pumayag naman po si Secretary Leonor Briones na gamitin ang mga public schools hanggang December 31 ng taong ito, no? Habang wala pong face-to-face ang ating mga estudyante. So bukod pa po dun sa mga struktura na tinatayo po ni Secretary Villar, ang ating isolation SAR, nandyan din po ang ating mga public schools para magsilbing isolation facilities sa level po ng mga barangays. Dahil importante po talaga ma-isolate kung wala pong sariling kwarto at walang sariling banyo. Next question, please.
Secretary, si Tricia Terada po ng CNN Philippines.
Hi, Secretary.
Yes.
Good afternoon po. Sir, dun po sa speech or address ni Pangulo kagabi, the President has repeatedly and reiterated that our funds are already depleted. Sir, what is the implication of this? Does that mean na we're gearing towards GCQ or easing of restrictions come 18th? And nabanggit din po kasi ni Secretary Lorenzana na ready na po yung Metro Manila and 4 other provinces for GCQ. And at the same time, sa kabilang banda, there's a recommendation by Dr. Tony Leacson that another 2 weeks of MECQ will be needed to bring down the number of cases. What are your thoughts about this, sir?
Well, alam niyo po, malinaw naman po ang presidente, no? Talagang mabisa pong paraan para mapababa ang numero, patagalin ang MECQ, no? O kaya ang ECQ. Ang problema po, wala na tayong pang-ayuda. Kung ang tao naman hindi makakapagtrabaho, baka mamatay dahil sa kawalan ng hanap buhay. So unless si Dr. Leachon po ay pwede magbigay ng ayuda sa lahat ng nais niya na mapasailalim pa sa MECQ ng 2 linggo, hindi na po talaga kakayanin. Kaya nga po ang mensahe po ng ating presidente, matagal pa po itong COVID. Yan po ang sinasabi ng WHO. Kinakailangan po mabuhay tayo despite and in spite of COVID. Kinakailangan ingatan po natin ang ating buhay para po tayo ay makapaghanap buhay. Kaya po natin gawin yan at ginagawa naman po yan ng buong daigdig. At hindi lang naman po Pilipinas ang nagkaroon ng surge. 70% po ng mga bansa sa daigdig ay nagkaroon ng surge. 70% ng buong daigdig lumalaban. Pinupursu po ang pang-araw-araw na buhay nila despite and in spite of COVID.
So, Secretary, most likely by the 18th, we can expect some easing of restrictions. Kumbaga, most likely babalik po tayo sa GCQ. Tama po ba?
Well, ang naging decision nga po dapat GCQ nga tayo. Kaya lang nag-apila po yung ating mga frontliners. At pinakinggan naman natin sila dahil alam naman natin na talagang pagod na rin sila. So habang pinagbigyan natin ng mga frontliners, pinagsamantalahan na rin natin para paintingin nga po yung ating T3. No? At inaasahan natin na dahil nga po ECQ tayo ay mapapabagal yung pagkalat ng sakit. Pero sa Metro Manila po, ang estimate nila, hindi po bababa sa 18 billion pesos ang nawawala sa kada araw ng MECQ. Mas malaki pa po ang mawawala kung mag-EECQ. Pero ang presidente naman po, straightforward, transparent. Wala na pong ayuda para dun sa hindi makapagtrabaho, kaya kinakailangan po mabuhay despite and in spite. Protektahan po natin ang ating kalusugan nang tayo po'y makasulong sa ating pang-araw-araw na buhay.
Secretary, clarification lang po dun sa nabanggit ng Pangulo na yung PNP na mag-participate in contact tracing. Sir, what exactly will be their role? Limited lang po ba siya doon sa pag-provide ng transportation doon sa mga contact tracers natin? And if ever, sir, they will actively participate per se in tracing, are they trained enough or do they have the capacity to be a contact tracer, sir?
Well, ngayon po, abang tayo nasa Davao, nagpupulong po ang Regional IATF, kaya siguro hindi makapasok si Secretary Galvez sa ating linya. No? At nandito rin po si General Magalong, kaya hindi rin siguro siya makapasok sa ating linya. Ang ginagawa po ng Baguio, umaasa po sila sa kapulisan. No? Dahil ang kapulisan may sasakyan at merong manpower at sanay naman po sila sa pag-iimbestiga na sang-ayon kay General Magalong, Mayor Magalong, ay isa sa kakayahan na kinakailangan natin para maging epektibong tracer. So, sa ngayon po, ang sinasabi natin, gagamitin natin ang kapulisan, gagamitin natin ang mga barangay health workers, bagamat sang-ayon nga po sa desisyon ng Korte Suprema, kung kulang pa rin yan, pwede naman nating itap din ang hukbong sandatahan. Wala pong paglabag sa ating saligang batas kung gagawin natin yan. At yan po ay sang-ayon sa desisyon ng Supreme Court sa San Lakas versus Executive Secretary.
Secretary, third question po about sa PhilHealth naman po, no? Si General Ricardo Morales filed for a medical leave. Sir, inaprobahan na po ba ito? And given conditions, sir, does the President see or is he eyeing a new PhilHealth chief? Kasi po yung mga empleyado din po ng PhilHealth, they raised a call na magkaroon po muna ng caretaker ang PhilHealth. And sabay ko na rin, sir, may update na po ba na nakarating sa Malacanang about the investigation on PhilHealth?
Well, sa ngayon po, dahil binuo ng Presidente itong task force na merong extraordinary powers, including the power to impose preventive suspension, hinahayaan na po muna ni Presidente na gumalaw itong task force neto, rerespetuhin po niya ang mga desisyon ng task force neto. So dahil nagtalaga po siya ng ganyang task force, antayin po niya aksyon ng mga task force at ang sabi naman po ni Secretary Maynard Guevara, ang chairman ng task force neto, madalian po sila mag-i-issue ng mga order for preventive suspension. Kung magtatalaga po ng bagong presidente ng PhilHealth si Presidente, wala pa pong ganung sinasabi ang ating Presidente. Aantayin niya ang rekomendasyon at ang mga desisyon ng task force.
Salamat po.
Maraming salamat, Trish. Yes, Yusek Rocky.
Question from Virgil Lopez ng GMA News Online. Vice President Robredo said yesterday that the country's COVID-19 cases cannot be attributed to increased testing alone. She said that community transmission is really bad now. Does the palace agree with her assessment?
Siyempre po, hindi po imposible na ganitong karami ang numero natin dahil lamang sa increased testing. Yan naman po ay kinikilala natin. Talaga naman pong patuloy pa rin ang community transmission. Pero ang susi nga po para mapabagal ang community transmission, mas maipainting na testing nga po para ma-isolate natin. Dahil kapag hindi na-isolate ang mga positive, patuloy po ang community transmission. Uulitin ko lang po, no? Talaga pong may community transmission. Pero kaya nga po pinainting natin ang testing para ma-isolate natin at matigil po yung pagkalat ng sakit.
Ang second question po ni...
Ang sinabi ni Secretary Villar, nagtatayo tayo ng mabilisan ng additional isolation centers dahil ito po yung mga susi para mapabagal yung community transmission.
Second question from
Joyce Balancho, please.
Virgil. Okay, Secretary.
Muna,
ito
go.
lang po yung
Virgil.
ito lang po yung yung tanong lang ni Virgil, follow-up lang po doon kay NDFP. Joma Sison has blamed President Duterte and his alleged gang of butchers for the killing of activist Randy Echanis and his neighbor. Sison said Echanis killing will only intensify the struggle against the Duterte government. Any reaction to this?
Nako, iniimbestigahan pa po yan. At saka, huwag niyo na po akong tanungin ng kahit anong komento tungkol sa mga sinasabi ng terorista. Hindi ko na po sasagutin yan. Dahil that would be to dignify statements made by a worldwide notorious terrorist named Joma Sison. Yes, si Joyce Balancho of DZMM, please.
Yes, good afternoon po, Secretary Roque. Setting aside itong ongoing investigation ng task force na pinubuo nga po ni Pangulong Duterte to investigate PhilHealth, talking about the health of PhilHealth President Ricardo Morales, si Senate President Tito Soto mentioned that he should, out of delicadeza, either take a leave for recovery o di kaya kung hindi po niya kaya ay mag-resign na lang po sa kanyang pwesto kasi baka naman na-short change daw po ang PhilHealth. No? What do you think of this? Lalo na nga po in-admit ni PhilHealth President that he's undergoing chemotherapy.
Well, the President wishes President Morales speedy recovery. Yun lang po. Hindi naman po niya didiinan ang tao na nagsasabi na merong malubhang karamdaman. We wish him the best. We hope that he recovers right away.
Napapansin na makikita natin na baka po ma-compromise naman yung work ni General Morales if he chooses to stay in PhilHealth while he is undergoing chemotherapy.
Sa kahit anong organisasyon po, hindi naman po magkakaroon ng leadership vacuum. Kahit ano po maging desisyon ni General Morales, meron po talagang system in place para magpatuloy po ang trabaho ng kahit anong organisasyon sa gobyerno.
Okay po. Si President Duterte, he mentioned last night that he will volunteer to be injected first with the vaccine from Russia. At sabi nga po niya, willing siyang gawin pa ito in public. Is the President serious about this, Secretary Roque? And papayagan din po ba ito ng government and the PS, knowing na, ang sabi nga niya, may eksperimentohan siya to test kung okay yung vaccine. Kung okay yung vaccine sa kanya, okay para sa mga Pilipino. Will this pose a risk to the President's health?
Well, yan po siguro ay sa loobin na ng Presidente. Ang kanyang mensahe sa taong bayan, huwag tayo mawalan ng pag-asa. Nag-uunahan po ang mga bansa sa buong daigdig na magkaroon ng vaccine laban sa COVID-19 at kung kinakailangan na isugal nga niya ang buhay niya para masigurado na itong vaccine ito ay makakasalba ng buhay dito sa Pilipinas, gagawin po niya yon. Ang sentimiento niya, handa po siyang ialay ang sarili niyang buhay para po maisalba ang buhay ng ating mga kababayan. Now, para sa ating mga kasama sa media, kung meron pa po kayong tanong para kay Secretary Villar, si Secretary Villar po ay pabitaw na, no? So siguro, Yusek Rocky, kung meron pa mga tanong para kay Secretary Villar, unahin na po natin yung tanong kay Secretary Villar. At kung meron pong online na kasama natin sa Malacanang Press Corps na may tanong kay Secretary Villar, okay. So apparently wala na, no? Sige, Yusek Rocky, next question please.
Sir? Opo, question. Yes, Joyce.
I-reaction lang po natin sa headline ng isang Thai newspaper calling the Philippines land of COVID when it reported about 165 Filipino teachers arriving there.
Ito yung sa Thailand?
Yes po.
Ito ba yung sa Thailand? Well, kung ito yung sa headline sa Thailand, no, alam niyo po, bilang isang abogado na nagtatanggol sa karapatan ng mga mamamahayag at vloggers, napakadami ko na po mga kliyenteng mga Thai vloggers at journalists. Wala po kasi talagang kalayaan ng malayang pamamahayag at pananalita dyan sa Thailand. Pag pinulaan mo yung hari, po pwede kang makulong. No? So sa tingin ko po, dahil marami silang hindi po pwede pulaan sa Thailand, pinulaan na lang nila tayo. Intindihin na lang po natin yan. Tayo naman dito sa Pilipinas, alam natin ang kalagahan ng malayang pananalita, tanggapin na rin po natin yan bilang input sa malayang merkado ng ETS. Yusek Rocky?
Okay, thank you, Joyce Balanso. From J. Ilagang of PTV Davao, matapos ginawang mandatory ang pagsusuot ng face shield sa land, sea and air public transportation, ano po ang assurance ng pamahalaan na may sapat na supply ng face shield sa bansa? Lalo na po dun sa far-flung areas ng Mindanao na una na rin nahirapan sa pagbili.
Ating DTI at ang DOH na dahil ginawang mandatory yan sa pagsakay sa pampublikong sasakyan, magkakaroon po ng supply ang buong Pilipinas.
Second question po ni Jay Lagang, maliban sa police stations, ano pa ang posibleng gamiting COVID-19 vaccination center ng bansa kung sakaling may supply na po ng bakuna?
Lahat po ng ating mga barangay health centers ay naririyan para maging network din natin pag meron na pong bakuna.
Yung susunod pong tanong galing kay Chris Jose Remate, nasagot niyo na po ito. Ito po yung dapat magiging reaksyon ng Malacanang sa tabloid ng Thailand na tinaguri ang COVID-19 land ang Pilipinas.
Okay, si Joseph Morong of GMA.
Hi sir, good afternoon. Sir, first question, doon sa statement ni Presidente na as much as he wanted to, when he wanted to, listen sa mga doctors, he really couldn't because nga wala na daw pera sa gobyerno. Now, is that the President's decision now after August 18? To GCQ tayo?
Hindi ko pa po alam kung ano maging desisyon dahil nakabase naman po yan sa datos. No? Pero tingin ko po, mahihirapan manatili sa MECQ dahil nga wala na po tayo pang ayuda. No? Ano naman ang gagawin natin sa ating mga kababayan kung hindi sila po pwede magtrabaho at walang ayuda. No? So sa akin po, ang bagong mensahe natin ay ingat, kalusugan po para sa hanap buhay. Alam naman po natin kung paano mapapabagal ang pagkalat ng sakit na ito. Gawin na po natin ito, no? Pagsusuot ng mask, social distancing, paghuhugas ng kamay, at pagsusuot ng face shield sa mga pampublikong transportasyon.
Sir, still on the subject, mukhang nakarating na sir kay Presidente yung report ng Opta Research. And I'm sure the President has read that. In that report, ang sabi, yung R0 slowing down, 1.18, so bumabagal yung pagkalat ng COVID. However, as you said, there's community transmission kasi 17, positivity, because the positivity rate is 17% and dapat 5%. What does the President think of this observation by the Opta Research? Will this factor in the decision or will he disregard this because we have to put more weight on economy?
Well, kung po pwede po talaga na magbigay pa ng ayuda, siguro po, no, po pwede pang mapahabaan itong mas striktong community quarantine. Pero yun na nga po, no, bottom line po, naubos na po ang ating resources for ayuda. So, ang ating mensahe po, uulitin ko po yan, no, ingatan po ang kalusugan para sa hanap buhay. At alam naman po natin ang gagawin sa ating mga pansarili, yung tinatawag na nating mask, wash of hands and social distancing. At sa parte naman ng gobyerno, nakikita nyo naman po, ngayon po, nandito, nagtitrain si Mayor Magalong sa buong rehiyon ng Davao kung paano talaga dapat gawin yung tracing. Dahil talagang aminado naman tayo na kinakailangan mas paintingin pa natin yung tracing. Kung tayo na ngayon ang isang pinakamataas pagdating sa actual testing sa buong Asia at hindi lang sa Southeast Asia, magkakaroon din po tayo na isa sa pinakamagaling na tracing effort dahil nga po dito sa model ni Mayor Magalong. Medyo po may panahon para dyan na kinakailangang i-invest pero kung paano po tayong the best and the most tests in the whole of Asia now, gagawin din po natin, magkakaroon tayo ng the best tracing and the most isolation facilities possibly in the whole of Asia if not Southeast Asia. Yan po ang ating ginagawa.
Alright. Sir, sa PhilHealth, of course, this
investigation
is a top-to-bottom investigation. Yesterday, the President said, yayariin niya yung mga involved sa corruption. However, yung mga innocent ay walang dapat ipag-alala. What does the President think of President Morales' involvement or non-involvement in the allegations of corruptions in PhilHealth?
Well, alam niyo, sinasabi ni Presidente, kilala niya bilang isang marangal na sundalo itong si General Morales. Nais niya makita ang ebidensya. No? Consistent naman po siya, kaya inaantayin po niya ang resulta ng investigasyon ng task force na binuo niya at kasama naman po dyan kasi yung PACC na meron ng nagawang investigasyon. So antayin na lang po natin ang gagawin ng task force.
Alright, sir. Thank you for your time.
Okay.
Last question. Di ba okay. Yusek Rocky.
Okay, sir. Question from Francis Wakefield of Daily Tribune regarding po the country's claim on Sabah. Has President Rodrigo Duterte gave any specific instructions or order on how this will come to be? Kasama po ba ito sa gusto niyang maisakatuparan before his term ends in June 2022?
Well, let's put it this way, no? Kakaiba po ang ating saligang batas sa buong mundo kasi tayo lang yung merong definition ng teritoryo natin at kasama sa definition ng teritoryo natin dyan yung historical claim to Sabah. So, hindi po yan binibitawan ng Presidente pero hindi rin po magiging dahilan yan para magkaroon ng gusot sa ating mabuting samahan sa ating karatig bansa na Malaysia. Alam niyo tayo mga Pilipino, bagamat meron tayong mga issues na hindi nare-resolve, talagang binibigyan natin ng importansya ang mabuting relasyon, lalong-lalo na sa kapitbahay, no? Sa karatig bansa. Dahil meron tayong kasabihan, huwag mo ng kamag-anak, huwag mo lang aawayin ang iyong mga kapitbahay.
Po. Ang next question po niya, President is being harping about the vaccine being developed in Russia. Nabanggit pa niya, hopeful siya of a COVID-free December with the possible arrival of the vaccine. Some are saying na medyo counterproductive po ang pagtaot ni PRRD o ni President Duterte ng vaccine. Baka isipin ng mga tao na dahil parating na ang vaccine ay maging complacent sila at lalong di sumunod sa quarantine guidelines. Wala pa naman kasing assurance daw na effective ito at nasa clinical trials pa lamang.
Francis, alam mo, ang napakahirap maging presidente. Hindi mo lang kinakailangan sabihin kung ano dapat gawin ng taong bayan sa panahon na pandemya na tila nawawalang pag-asa ang taong bayan. So hayaan na po natin na magbigay ng pag-asa ang ating presidente. Libre naman po yung pag-asang yan. Pero doon sa sinasabi nyo magiging counterproductive, hindi po. Kaya nga po, kada press briefing natin, keep distance, wash hands, and wear masks. No? Dahil alam po natin na hindi po dapat kalimutan yung mga bagay-bagay na alam nating sigurado po magpapabagal ng pagkalat ng sakit. At kasabay po nga niyan, ulitin ko, ginagawa rin po ng gobyerno, pang-nasyonal, pang-lokal, ang dapat nilang gawin pagdating po sa testing, tracing, and treatment.
Third question, John, saying that quarantine violators continue to disobey the rules set by the government to curb coronavirus transmission. Are we going to see in the next few days more troops in Metro Manila? Did the President also mention during the meeting last night na pabor siya na i-extend ang MECQ sa Metro Manila given the continued rise in COVID-19?
Yung dapat ginawa natin bago po nakiusap ang ating frontliners, no? Ang gagawin po natin, localized and granular. Pagdating po sa localized and granular lockdown, siguro po hingin nga natin ang tulong hindi lang ng kapulisan, kundi pati na rin po ng hukbong sandatahan. So, hindi naman po ibig sabihin, palibasa, magkakaroon tayo ng mas less strict na community quarantine na hindi na po tayo magpapatupad ng ECQ. Ang localized at ang granular lockdown po, ECQ yan. Yung ibang mga lugar nga, gaya ng Quezon City, sabi ni Mayor Joy Belmonte, total lockdown, pati sa trabaho, hindi ka papapasukin at padadala ng liham yung iyong employer na hindi ka po pwede lumabas ng bahay. So ganyan katindi naman po yung gagawin natin para nga makontain po yung pagkalat ng sakit at na-identify naman po natin ang mga clusters, no, kung nasaan yung mga kaso ng COVID-19 dito po sa Metro Manila. So kaya po nating i-localize or granular lockdown yung mga areas na yan. Renada of Rappler.
Good afternoon, Secretary. Sir, just on the Russian vaccine. So last night, the President spoke as if it was a done deal na he will distribute the Russian vaccine to Filipinos for yung trials. Sir, has the government thoroughly assessed the safety of this vaccine? Because health experts have raised concerns that Russia is shortcutting their vaccine trials process and they actually skipped the phase 3 And so parang there might be a compromise with safety. So sir, may assessment po muna before
Hindi naman po,
the
no?
actual
Ang sabi po ni Presidente,
trial
nagpapasalamat
habang
siya.
Filipino.
He is grateful sa offer ng Russia. Pero sinabi rin niya na kinakailangan din nating sundin ang batas na umiiral sa Pilipinas, no? Dahil nga po walang gamot na hindi po pwedeng ibigay sa publiko na hindi dumadaan sa FDA. Ang FDA naman po hindi mag-i-issue ng permit to utilize isang gamot kung wala po yung clinical trial. So dadaan din po yan sa proseso natin yan at naintindihan naman po ng mga Russians yan dahil may batas po kasi no? Unless the FDA declares nga an emergency, compassionate use, din po pwede. No? Pero for mass distribution, tingin ko po dapat sundin pa rin yung batas. No? And that calls for clinical trials po. Pwede naman pong gobyerno
So, sir,
na dyan sa clinical trials na yan.
Okay, so sir, kung hindi po pumasa, possible na walang Russian vaccine to be tried on Filipinos here. If so, sir, isn't it premature for the president to be talking about ironing out like supplies, amounts, etc. to Russia? Or even,
Hindi naman po,
sir,
no?
yung
Because
those details,
number
sir.
one, it was a generous offer for which we have to be thankful for. No? Tayong mga Pilipino naman, pulaan na tayo, pero ang utang na loob ay isa talagang pinibigyan natin ng halaga. So tingin ko naman, inarticulate ni Presidente yung gratefulness at yung utang na loob natin dahil sila ang pinakaunang nag-offer ng vaccine sa atin. No? At hindi makakalimutan ng sambayan ng Pilipino yung kabutihang loob na yan.
Sir, Quezon City Mayor Joy Belmonte says the DOH is providing incomplete data to LGUs and this is delaying their contact tracing efforts. So, sir, how does the national government aim to reach its contact tracing targets when something as basic as providing case information can't be done? What will Malacanang do about this?
Ang alam ko naman po, may sariling epidemiological office ang Quezon City. No? So siguro kung ano yung kakulangan ng national, pwede ba po mag-supplement yan ng Quezon City. Okay? Ay, by the way, may lumabas na nga pala na sa Rappler na artikulo tungkol sa aking press briefing. Linawin ko lang po, no, yung Willie Revillame hijacks rocket press briefing to promote clarity. No? Wala pong gano'n nangyari. No? Pinatapos po natin ang press briefing bago natin pinasalamatan at binigyan ng pagkakataon si Kuya Will na magsalita. No? So sa amin naman po, nakisuyo tayo kay Kuya Will nung pwedeng magamit ang kanyang studio dahil naka-lockdown nga po ang NEB at kung nasaan ang aming briefing room, no, na pinagbigyan naman po. No? So bilang pasasalamat lang po yung ginawa natin na giniyaya po natin siyang magpakita sa huling parte ng briefing. Likas na matulungin naman po si Willie, walang pinakaiba ang pagtulong niya sa panahon ng pandemya noong panahon ng Yolanda. Wala pong politika ron at wala pong hijacking. Okay,
so sir, you're saying okay lang to
next po, Yusek Rocky.
Press conference of the OPS to promote celebrities' private efforts and show?
Yusek Rocky.
Okay, Secretary.
Yusek Rocky, please.
Secretary Roque. Okay. A question from Jopel Peleño of DWIC. Posible po bang manatili sa MECQ classification ang National Capital Region at ilang karatig lalawigan nito after August 18 at kakayanin pa ba ng ekonomiya kung muling palalawigin ang MECQ?
Ang tanong kung posible, ang sagot ko, anything is possible but highly unlikely. Next question, please.
Magkakaroon ba ng epekto sa opening ng online classes ngayong August 24 ang posibleng susunod na quarantine classification ng National Capital Region at ilang karatig lalawigan?
Wala naman po kasing face-to-face class na gagawin. No? Lahat po tayo ay blended learning at wala pa pong utos si Presidente na huwag ituloy ang blended learning. So tuloy po tayo sa pagbukas po ng klase, bagamat prerogative po ni Presidente na ipigilan yan kung gustuhin niya. No? Sa ngayon po, wala pang ganung order. Melo Acuña. Yes, Melo.
Yeah, good afternoon, Secretary. Magandang hapon po. Unang tanong, may paraan po ba ang paman para binsin mga Megali mga iwas ng kanilang rental? May mga restaurant na nagsasarado dahil sa mataas na rental ay po mga landlords na magbawas man lang kahit konti.
Tingnan po natin kung maisisingit yan sa Bayanihan 2. Pero sa ngayon po, pakiusap ng Presidente, wag naman po sana na magbigay pa ng additional na pahirap sa ating mga kababayan. No? Kung pwede po, lahat po tayo talaga nagkaroon ng danyos dito sa pandemyang ito. So ang pakiusap po ng Presidente sa lahat, lalo na yung mga nagpapautang, kung po pwede po, bigyan natin ng konsiderasyon yung mga umuupa sa atin. Talagang napakahirap po ng buhay para sa lahat ngayong meron pong pandemya.
Meron po bang sa pagtugunan nyo ang pangangailangan ng mga guro at iba pang government workers na maaaring magkaroon ng COVID-19? Samantalang,
well, alam niyo po yung mga guru natin, considered na rin silang frontliners, kasama na rin po sila dun sa expanded targeted testing natin. No? At lahat naman po ng magkakasakit ay tinutulungan natin gobyerno sa pamamagitan ng PhilHealth. Meron po silang case rates, depende po na ibabayad sa mga hospital, depende kung gaano kalala po ang sakit. Kung hindi po ako nagkakamali, kung talagang seryosong sakit ng COVID, up to 700,000 naman po yung binibigay ng PhilHealth. So lahat po makikinabang doon po sa ating sinulong na universal healthcare.
pahabol ko lamang po, at mukhang may problema pa roon. Magtataas po ba ng alert level ang pamahalaan para umuwi yung ngayon?
Hindi ko po nakuha ang tanong nyo. Garbled po kayo. Ano yung tanong nyo, last question?
Gobyerno sa Lebanon nagbitiw. Parang may problema pa ngayon matapos yung pagsabog noong nakalipas na Martes.
Opo.
Magkakaroon alert na makauwi yung ating mga kababayan na maaaring apektado sa Lebanon.
Ay patuloy po ang DFA na gumagawa ng hakbang na pauwiin ang lahat ng gusto umuwi galing po dyan sa bansang Lebanon. Hindi po tumigil yan. Okay? Maraming salamat, Melo, Yusek Rocky.
Okay, question from Rose Novenario of Hataw. Ilang beses inihayag ng ilang admin officials ang maayos na quarantine, isolation, facilities para sa COVID-19 patients, pero mismong OP Engineering Office na pinamumunuan ni Engineer Torres ay inilagak ng mahigit 2 linggo ang 2 COVID-19 positive nilang empleyado sa tambakan ng construction materials at sirang gamit. Tumutulo ang bubong, walang kusina, silid, tulugan. Pananagutin ba ng palasyo si Torres sa hindi makataong trato sa mga empleyado at paglabag sa itinakdang quarantine protocols ng IATF?
Rose, in fact, nung nakarating sa akin yan, humingi ako ng detalye, no? Pero hindi ko po nakuha yung pangalan at kung saan talaga sila naka-quarantine. Dahil ang Oplan na Kalinga naman po, yan po yung pinapatupad ng lokal na pamahalaan. So, lokal na pamahalaan sana po ang pasusundo ko. Pero hindi ko po nakuha yung pangalan nitong 2 COVID positive at kung exactly saan sila sa Malacanang, we could have helped. Pero kung totoo po na doon sila pina-quarantine under inhumane conditions, syempre po, I will call out the attention of Mr. Torres, no? Coursing it through the Executive Secretary dahil siya naman po ang kumbaga tumatayong boss ng Office of the President, bukod kay Presidente, syempre. Asahan niyo po yan.
Question from Arian Meres of ABS-CBN Online. Defense Secretary Lorenzana said Metro Manila is ready to return to GCQ after MECQ. Does the palace agree and why?
Tagapagsalita rin po kasi ako ng IATF. Hayaan na po muna nating i-discuss yan ng IATF. No? Ang mga sinasagot ko lang kanina, yung sinabi mismo ni Presidente na ubus na ang ating pang-ayuda. Pero dun sa actual decision, I cannot preempt po the IATF. So let's wait for the IATF decision.
With the President's remarks last night daw po, does this mean that the Philippines will get its first COVID-19 vaccine from Russia and not in China?
Well, alam nyo, ang dilema ni Presidente nung sinabi niya na isa siya o siya yung mangunguna na kumuha ng vaccine. Ang tanong niya, kung magpavaksin ako sa Russia, pwede pa ba ako magpavaksin sa China? Pwede pa ba ako magpavaksin sa England at sa Amerika? So, siyempre, ang sagot ni Secretary Duque, baka hindi, no? So, tignan lang po natin kung ano talaga ang mangyayari sa ngayon. Ang nangyari po talaga ay Sinabi ng Russia, pwede sila magbigay ng vaccine, tinanggap po natin yan. Pero syempre po, kinakailangan ipatupad natin yung mga umiirang batas.
Question from Mela Lesmores of PTV. May hazard pay po ba sa government workers under MECQ ulit? At ano pong tulong ang maibibigay ng government sa mga kawani na nagka-COVID matapos po mag-expire ang Bayanihan Act 1?
Well, yung hazard pay po sa MECQ, yung pulis, sundalo, talagang meron naman po yan. No? Pero yung hazard pay po na sang-ayon sa Wihilas 1, Bayanihan Act 1, ay hindi pa po yan nare-renew. Bagamat, alam nyo naman po, parehong mababang kapulungan at ang Senado ay tapos na kanilang version at papunta na po ito sa bicameral committee. Ibig sabihin, magkakaroon na po tayo ng Bayanihan 2. So tingnan po natin kung ano nakasaad sa Bayanihan 2.
From Christina Mendez ng Philippine Star, apart from China and Russia, Ambassador Romualdez said Secretary of State Mike Pompeo also vowed as U.S. help in securing a vaccine which are now being developed by big pharmas in the U.S. How come the President is more optimistic with Russia's promise to provide us with a vaccine? Will President Duterte also subject himself to clinical trial if U.S. finds a vaccine first?
Well, alam niyo po, ang presidente naman, nung nag-offer ang Russia, nagagalak siya kasi parang nagbunga na nga yung kanyang independent foreign policy na tayo kaibigan ng lahat at wala tayong kalaban. Dahil kung sinusunod natin yung pulisiya dati na ang kaibigan lang natin ay Estados Unidos, syempre hindi naman mag-o-offer ang China at Russia. Pero ngayon na merong ganitong pandemya, pinapakita niya sa taong bayan na it helps and it pays na kaibigan tayo ng lahat dahil lahat ng kaibigan natin nagbigay na po ng assurance na kuha tayo ng vaccine pag sila po ay nag-develop. Kung inaway po natin ng isa o dalawa sa kanila, edi walang ganyang offer. Aasa lang tayo sa isang bansa. Ngayon po, pwede nating asahan dahil sa ating independent foreign policy, lahat po na makaka-develop ng vaccine, mabibigyan po tayo.
Second question po ni Tina. As of yesterday, there are new cases of 6,958 with 4,163 recorded in Metro Manila. Can you please give us an idea how do the government is implementing step-by-step contact tracing on these cases? Gaano po kabilis ang paghanap sa exposed individuals? Ano ang challenges na meet sa pag-contact tracing?
Well, okay. Unang-una po, no, dahil napakadami nga po natin ng kaso, no, hindi siguro natin magagawa yung ginagawa sa Baguio na 1:37, close contacts ang hahanapin ng tracers. Ngayon po, minimum 1:10. Dinevelop po ng Google at saka ng Apple jointly. No? Tinanggap naman po natin yung program na yan at yan po ipapatupad ng safety.ph. No? So, naantala po ng somehow itong implementation nito kasi kinakailangan na ibigay yung datos na hawak po ng safety.ph na tinatawag natin yung Privacy Act. No? Pero ngayon nai-assign na po lahat ng datos at gobyerno na po mag-aari ng datos na makakalap natin dahil dito sa app na ito, inaasahan po natin na talaga mas mapapainting na natin itong tracing.
Question from Angel Roquillo of DZXL, RMN. Palace reaction po sa sinabi ni Senator Ontiveros na ang record high na almost 7,000 COVID cases kahapon po ay wake-up call sa gobyerno at panahon na para rebisahin ito ang strategy sa pagtugon sa COVID-19.
Alam niyo po, araw-araw, revise po yan. At araw-araw po, iniisip talaga ng lahat sa gobyerno. Lahat po kami, wala nang hindi nagtatrabaho ng minimum of 14 hours a day para makahanap po ng mas mabuting pamamaraan para makontrol po itong COVID-19. We may not be as successful, but I can assure you, everyone is working darn hard to find a solution to the problem. Kung magkulang man, well, pagpasensyahan po. Pero hindi niyo po maakusa ang gobyernong ito na natutulog sa pansitan.
Reaction din daw po ng palasyo sa suhestyon ni Vice President Leni Robredo na gumamit ng online platform ang pamahalaan sa pagtugon sa COVID-19. Inahalimbawa nito ang mobile phone app sa Singapore na Trace Together kung saan madidetect ang lokasyon ng isang tao at bibigyang babala ito kung mayroong nagpositibo sa virus na malapit sa kanyang lugar.
Ginagawa po natin yan dun sa safety.ph, kaya lang po, meron tayong privacy law na kinailangang ipatupad. No? At ito po yung naging dahilan kung bakit naantala ang paggamit ng computerized app. Dahil sensitibo po yung batas natin sa privacy. Hindi ko po alam kung may ganyang batas sa Singapore, dahil alam naman natin ng Singapore talagang big brother watching its citizen. So hindi naman po tayo ganoon, so kinakailangan sumunod po sa batas.
From Luel Rekelman of Banat Pilipinas News, Davao Media, kapag po ba sinasabi ng Pangulo na wala ng pera pang ayuda, ibig sabihin po nito, niya dito ay naubos na ang pondo under Bayanihan 1. Ngayon po na pumasa na sa Congress and Senate ang Bayanihan 2, masasabi po ba na may pondo na ulit tayo to combat COVID-19 kapag napirmahan na ng Pangulo ang batas na ito?
Yung 160 billion po na nasa Bayanihan 2 package ng Kamara, alam ko po yan ay para naman makabangon tayo. No? Alam ko po meron tayong maraming subsidiya para sa mga apektadong mga industriya, marami tayong mga pautang para magkaroon ng hanap buhay muli ang ating mga kababayan, pero hindi po ako sigurado. Hey, one last question po. Parang ang dami nating question ngayon. Parang the fact that I'm in Davao inspired the Malacanang Press Corps and the Malacanang Press Corps to ask questions. Sige po, one last question po.
Secretary, last two na lang po, last two question. Ito yung isa, follow-up po ito.
Sige, last two questions.
Opo. Follow-up niya, may maaasahan po bang ayuda ang mga napailalim na sa MECQ na areas that Bayanihan 2 passed Congress and Senate?
Tingnan po natin kung anong batas na ipapasa po ng ating Kongreso. Nakasabase po yan sa Bayanihan 2 dahil alam nyo naman nakasaad sa ating saligang batas, walang pondo na galing sa kaban ng bayan ang pupwedeng gastusin na walang batas na binuo po ng representante ng taong bayan.
Okay, last question po, pero bago last question, Secretary, happy birthday po kay Ase Queenie Rodolfo and si Roda Hernandez po nandiyan sa PTV Davao. Question from...
Inunahan mo naman ako. Happy birthday kay Roda at happy birthday Ase Queenie.
kasi baka putulin
yes,
niyo ako, Secretary. From Vance Fernandez, bakit po sinabi ni Pangulo Rodrigo Duterte na wala tayong pera in his public address last night? Samantalang sinabi po ni ng DBM and Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, we have enough funds. Now, which is which?
Yan po ay para sa ayuda. Kasi nga po, nakasaad sa ating, sa ating Bayanihan 1 Ask, Bayanihan We Heal As One app na meron tayong ayuda na ibibigay sa 18 million na mga kababayan in 2 tranches. No? So yun po yung naubos. No? Well, I just got a message na hahabol daw po si Secretary Galvez. No? So please feel free to ask more questions, Malacanang and Malacanang Press Corps. Habang inaantay natin si Secretary Galvez, siya po ilang galing sa Regional IATF meeting na pinamunuan po ni Mayor Sara Duterte sa PNP headquarters. At siya po ay ura-uradang nagbabiyahe para sana po ay makaabot sa ating press briefing dahil as Chief Implementer ng COVID-19 Task Force, ang nais nating malaman matapos ang mahigit isang linggo ng MECQ, ano na ang aasahan, ano na ang nagawa natin dun sa mga bagay-bagay na nais nating makamit. So yes, Yusek, kung meron ka pa mga tanong, please ask them.
Secretary,
pwedeng mag-round 2.
Opo. Yeah, Secretary, wala na pong tanong dito ibang mga reporters, pero si Joseph Morong po yata may
Go ahead, Joseph.
Hindi ko lang po alam kung na-contact na siya ng PTV sa Vimeo.
Parang may utang ako sa kanya eh. Oo.
Opo.
Dahil parang dalawa lang yun ang tanong ni Joseph Morong. So please. Wala kang volume, wala kang voice, wala kang audio, Joseph. Wala ka pa rin audio.
Okay na, Secretary. May audio
Hello?
na.
Try again. Hello.
Hello, sir.
Hello. Audio.
I can't hear you.
Walang audio.
Ayan.
Parang tayong
Ayan,
dalawa lang nag-uusap sa Skype, ha?
Okay. Sir, pasensya na. We have to wait.
Baka naman nakamute ka, no?
Hindi, sir. Hindi, oh. Naka-on na ako, sir.
Ayan, nagre-ring. Hello?
Yes, sir. Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, sir. Yun pong sa Russia, no? Can you hear me well?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. Sir, sa Russia, the president's statement last night was, the last time he went there, nagtasabi ni President Putin that if there's anybody who might need confinement or treatment in Russia, willing yung Russia to extend help. But at that time, October 2019, that was the last time the president was there. Wala pang COVID. But so can you explain to us the context of why President Putin would tell President Duterte that, you know, kung may gusto magpa-confine sa inyo, okay sa Russia?
Well, yan po tingin ko patunay na merong tunay na pagkakaibigan sa panig po ng bansang Russia at sa bansa ng Pilipinas. Alam niyo po, malapit talaga tayo sa Russia pagdating po sa medisina. Kasi nung panahon po na bumisita si Russia, kongresista pa ako noon, sinusulong natin yung universal healthcare at binigyan po kami ng briefing, no? Dapat nga po pupunta ng St. Petersburg para talaga makarating doon sa health ministry, no, ng Russia. At binigyan kami ng briefing at nagkaroon po ako ng karanasan dyan na naiwan ko yung aking insulin. So bumili ako ng insulin sa Russia at nadiscover ko na 10% lang yung presyo ng insulin sa Russia kumpara dito sa Pilipinas. So sinabi ko kay Presidente, tinanong naman namin doon sa ambassador at tinanong sa Ministry of Health nila. Ang sabi kasi nila, meron silang centralized purchasing ng lahat ng gamot, no? So talagang napapababa nila yung mga gamot, no? So matapos po yan ay dapat nagkaroon ng full-fledged briefing ang presidente on the universal healthcare policy ng Russia. Hindi nga lang po natuloy dahil pumutok ang Marawi at kinailangang umuwi ka agad. So talaga pong malalim yung pagsama ng Pilipinas at ang Russia dahil naintriga po talaga si Presidente. Number one, paano napababa ng Russia yung halaga ng gamot? At pangalawa, paano nalilibre ng Russia ang medical care at medicine talaga sa kanyang mga kababayan? So yun po yung nais talaga nating matutunan sa Russia. At ngayong meron silang vaccine, siyempre po, nais din natin makinabang kung talaga po ito ay ang magiging susi sa laban sa question 19.
Sir, just one last, sir. I'm not sure alam niyo na po, but si former COMELEC Chairman Sixto Brillantes has passed on just a couple of hours ago na the family confirmed it. Any statements?
We condole po with the family of Chair Brillantes, and of course, he served the nation well when he was chairman of the COMELEC. Our condolences po.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Sino pa po meron tanong habang inaantay natin si Secretary Galvez? Well, wala nang tanong eh. Sasabihin na lang natin kay Secretary Galvez, i-guess natin siya on Thursday, ha? Kasi wala nang tanong. But, nandito ba? Wala eh. Okay, maraming salamat po. Hindi na po natin maaantay si Secretary Galvez. Pero, meron pong tele... Okay, so sa susunod po, i-guess po natin si Secretary Galvez at saka si Secretary Vince. Paumanhin po dahil nga po ito sa nagaganap na regional IATF meeting. Sinamantala rin po ng ating mga SARS at ni Secretary Anyo at ni Secretary Lopez yung pagkakataon nito na nandito sila sa Davao para pulungin po yung regional IATF. Well, isasara ko po ang ating press briefing, this time with a verse from the Bible. Kasi hindi lang naman po tracing, testing, at treatment ang sagot sa COVID-19. No? And I'm quoting from Psalm 91 verses 1 to 3, "Whoever dwells in the shelter of the